Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you're tuning in, whatever time of day you are tuning in. Hope you're having a great faith-based Friday so far. Just reshare everything out real quick. Whatever time of day you. Yep, we're good on Facebook. What's happening? Let me go check YouTube real quick. All right, here we go. Right into it. So, being one of the more valuable, dependable people, I have to kind of make this episode a little earlier today because I do have to go and pick kids up. I teach at a school, and I'm one of the two people that actually drive the bus. So I do have to get going a little earlier today, seeing that I got to go pick the kids up. I normally don't have to pick the kids up. Normally it's me dropping them off. But again, happy to do it because I wouldn't be practicing what I preach if I didn't do it. I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be the dependable, more of the person teaching dependability, teaching entrepreneurship, teaching wintrapreneurship, teaching intrapreneurship, teaching the teamwork, the innovative teamwork that I teach. I wouldn't be able to teach it if I don't have things like that, if I don't do things like I had to do today. So give me a second. Let me get my coffee in me and we'll get this thing going. So first and foremost, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to my world, new to this channel, new to what all the things that I do. My name is Aswand Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. I created this whole business, this whole brand, this whole framework. It's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff, a group of employees that moves as efficiently as a championship high school or youth football team. Business owners, if you're interested in any of that, if any of that sounds like you, make sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That is freeguide.makeyourmove.com. We break it down into really, really simple math equation, establishing measurables, creating a professional distance, and that is what leads to the productive environment that keeps your profits flowing and keeps you from going under. If you're ready to have me come in, if you think you'd be interested in having me come in and speak to your staff about how to develop this mindset, how to work together in a more cohesive way, you just simply need to go to makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. You can do all your research. You can subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. You do all that stuff right there, or more importantly, book me to come in and speak to your staff. That's when progress is made. That's when your people know you're serious about their development, is when you're actually paying money to get people in that can help them develop the cohesive organization that they need to be developed. That's the difference. As you as an owner, are you willing to invest your own profits in getting them better and getting them where they need to be? All right. One of the things that we do here every single Friday is something I'll call Faith-Based Friday. Faith-Based Friday is all about it's all about the word. It's all about the word. All right, the word. I didn't say church. I didn't say religion. I said the word, and understanding how the word of God, and the going to church is one thing, but the actual doers of the word and the following of the word, that's a completely different animal, because it's important that we take the word in every single day, and we understand that we're all going to fall short of God. We're all going to be in a situation where we want to do things and we're going to make mistakes. The mistakes are going to happen. And I created Faith-Based Friday from the standpoint of, I think, listening to, so I go to church every Sunday. This Sunday I couldn't because I was in Naples, but I tune in, whether it's virtually or whether it's in person. I tune in, I go to Life Church, and I pay my tithes there and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I hear that message, it kind of centers me and recalibrates me and gets me exactly where I need to be. So every Friday, what I decide to do is I decide to go over, I leave that day reserved for us to go over the message and what it was all about, what he was talking about. And, right now, Pastor Craig Rochelle is in this series, this love story series, where he's talking about some of his favorite marriages, how you make relationships work, the ups and downs that you're going to go through when it comes to relationships. When I say the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations, so many things are going to be coming up when you're talking about merging two lives with one another, something I'm experiencing right now in this very moment as me talking. And his message is just so on point. And I can't tell you the importance of, above everything, you have to develop a walk of faith. You have got to make sure everything you do is faith-based. You cannot get caught up in the moment, whether the moment is a really, really good moment or whether you and your significant other are having a bad moment, whether it's a big, brutal fight that you guys are having about a certain thing, or if you're having just an incredible time and you love each other. Never get caught up in the moment. Always be about the faith. Always be about what's happening tomorrow, because tomorrow's coming. All right, it's coming. It's not guaranteed. I understand that, but you got to prepare for what's happening tomorrow. And, you got to be willing to make certain sacrifices based on what's best for each other. And these were the messages that he was kind of given, that he was talking about in the message in this past Sunday sermon. So I'll let him take it away a little bit, and I'll interject as usual, as I normally do. So I'll cut this at around 20-25 minutes, because like I said, today I got to get going because I got called in to go drive the buses and pick up the kids and all that. So I'm not only picking them up, now I'm be dropping them off as well. So, it is what it is. Hey, somebody got to do it. Somebody got to be that grinder. Somebody got to be the person that's going out and getting after it. I'm gonna step up and be that guy. So let me get right into Pastor Craig Rochelle's message. He starts off with a very strong point in terms of what the social media fueled world is creating and how you have to actually be ready for it. You have to be ready for it, and you have to have very honest dialogue with what's going on internally with you and whoever the relationship you're in with. So I'll let go.
Know that whenever you go on social media and you see people posting about their marriage, we typically see what I call "my marriage is amazing" posts. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's like, hey, look how good we are, and look at how happy we are, and how blessed that we are. And there are so many marriages that genuinely are really, really good. But typically, when you look on social media, what you see is the highlight reel,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You see people on their vacations, you see the romantic dinners, you see the matching pajamas at Christmas time, and the caption says something like, "I love you more today than ever before," which is often true, but sometimes what it means is we almost killed each other last week, but we're still here. And so I'm acknowledging that we're still here. And we got to be honest about the posts. No one ever posts about the argument in the car.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Especially the one on the way to church. It's Amy and I are very blessed to have a great marriage. And I honestly think that the place we have our worst fights are in the car. Why? I'm not sure, but I know I'm not doing something right when I'm driving in the car. Maybe you can relate. And if you look at just what you see online, a lot of times you may be convinced that there's something wrong with your relationship. And I want to talk to those of you who are maybe dating or maybe married, and you feel like there might be something wrong with me or with us, and show you that real love, reminds you, real love is not always perfect, right? It's not always flowers and fireworks and fairy tales. Real love is often choosing to be kind instead of having to be right. Real love is apologizing when you get it wrong and forgiving when someone has wronged you.
All right, so he said that, but I don't want it to get brushed over, because it's a challenging thing for someone like myself and anybody else out there who lives online, right? We live on the internet. We're on the internet every single day, 7 days out of the week. There's something coming out. The business that we're passionate about, things that we love. We've developed a presence and a lifestyle on the internet. All right, there's a comfort there. And when you're talking about dating, even especially how I met my girl, was through it was an app that was more so focused on folks that are into going to church, focused on doing the right things. And it was upward. Yeah, it was upward. It was upward. And if you go, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys, but if you go and you look up Craig Groeschel, he did a sermon for Upward. He did a sermon for, let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys. Yeah. So the pastor, I was for years, I mean, I was against dating apps, but when it came to Upward Dating, for my podcast listeners, I'm on the Upward Dating app, and you see the same guy, Pastor Craig Groeschel, who did a sermon for it. And as I was started going to that church, that's when I said to myself, hey, it might be the best thing to go on Upward. It might be the best thing to go on Upward and be a little more open than I normally was before, because when you're living online the way I'm living online, it is incredibly challenging. It became incredibly challenging to find people that give a rap. I try not to swear as much on Faith-Based Friday, but it's hard to find people that give a shit. It's hard to find people that genuinely care about the individual, other than how great the individual is online, how that I could potentially help their business. A lot of the people that were in my life before I met her, I let in that had their own agenda. They come in, they do their show, we record, we have a great episode, and you don't hear from them again. So much of the thing about meeting someone or dating or anything like that, you have to really be fair to yourself and understand that the questions and the conversations that you're going to have, it's not going to always be pretty. It's not going to always be what he had just suggested on, posting on social media, where we're looking like some perfect couple. That's not real. That's not life. That's not the way it should be. And it shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't want there to be just this perfect union and these two people that are perfectly merged together. No, you want it to be a very true thing, to where there are certain things you have to work on and certain things the other person has to work on. And if you're honest about it, you can work on them together. That is what it should be about. That should be the mentality. And that is what he's saying, regardless of how you meet the person. And, like I mentioned, when he gave this sermon, that's what made me really kind of go back on the app and really looking, I met her, and, we're having an unbelievable time. But at the end of the day, it's not without fights. It's not without arguments. Not without things that I'm 1000% sure I do to piss her off, and there's some things that I'm not too keen on that she does. But we figured that out, because that, to me, that's part of the learning process and understanding that every single person, every single situation is not going to be perfect. So let me get through. So some of the notes I jot down, I got to like 13. 14, where he starts talking about the importance of recognizing your problems and leaning into them, and understanding how you have to really start praying with people and understanding what prayer is. So I'm gonna let him keep cooking.
Upon God, because he cares for us. So she takes all of her grief, all of her pain, all of her frustration, all of her disappointment. And as much as I want to do that, and as much as it feels right, sometimes what she wants is not me fixing, but me feeling with what she's going through.
Let me let him go through. I'm gonna go through, because
and this raises a thought. Lesson number 2 is, sometimes your spouse doesn't need a solution; they just need your presence. Sometimes they don't want you just to fix the problem, but they want you to feel the pain in the moment with them. And I'm still learning this lesson. Almost 34 years into marriage, I still have to remind myself that sometimes when Amy is in a difficult spot emotionally or facing some kind of challenge, everything in me says, there's 3 steps to fix the problem. We can do this, and we can do this, and we can do that. Stay there. Here I come to the rescue. And as much as I want to do that, and as much as it feels right, sometimes what she wants is not me fixing, but me feeling with what she's going through in the middle of the moment. And one woman is clapping on the front row really loud right now. And she was hurting. He wanted to help, but he didn't know how to help. And so year after year, this was an issue. year after year, this was an issue. Some of you are going through something, and year after year, it's been an issue. So what does she do? Well, rightly, wisely, she takes her pains, she takes her hurts to God. We're told to cast our cares upon him, cast our anxiety upon God, because he cares for us. So she takes all of her grief, all of her pain, all of her frustration, all of her disappointment, and she pours it out to God. And scripture says this: in her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. And she made a vow saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, God, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life. And one of the things I love about Hannah is that she, in her heartbreak, she didn't walk away from God. She didn't shut down in silence, but she stood up and she poured out her heart to God. In my anguish, in my weeping, God, I come back to you. I cry out to you, God. I believe that you can, God, and I believe that you will. And when you look at her prayer, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't polished. It wasn't like something you would publish in a book. It was a cry from the depths of her heart, an honest and anguished cry to God. Sometimes the most powerful prayers are not the most polished or perfect, but just the most honest.
All right, let me pause it right here, because I went to a Catholic school. All right, and one of the things that I grew up in a Caribbean household that I was never forced to go to church. My mother and father never forced it on me. It was never something that we had to do. She would tell me every single day, every time I got brought up, look, she wanted God, she wanted religion, she wanted church, she wanted those things that my sister and I can find on our own, not necessarily something that was forced upon us as parents. So when I went to the Catholic school I got recruited there to play football. It was very much a culture shock, because what prayer was this memorization of, Hail Mary, full of grace, God, our Father who art in, like, it was such a routine, monotonous, just over and over, just thing that you said. It wasn't until I developed a walk of faith on my own in my own life and started to go through things on my own that I realized prayer is simply a conversation with God. That's it. Do not overthink what prayer is. So when he speaks on, and again, I strongly recommend you guys go listen to the entire sermon, but when he speaks on this concept of praying together, he's really talking about having honest dialogue and honest conversations together, whether it's you, the person, and God. Honest dialogue about what it is possible, what it is you can do, what it is you want out of your life. And with those are the only ways that you can move forward, is through honest dialogue and honesty, and making it so you understand, hey, look, there's good things, there's good, and there's bad. But without the understanding of what prayer actually is, things start to become so convoluted, so confusing, because you as a human being, you as the one who's a human, you start doing things that are going to be unfair to yourself. You start paying for stuff that you're not ready to be paying for. You start making moves and deciding that you're going to just try to get in here that you're not ready to do. In fact, I'll give you guys a story. Just yesterday, I went to this networking event. If you listen to today's Move Swiftly Thought, you heard me talk about a networking event, and there was a story that was told by a financial advisor, and he was telling me about a couple that had just enough to buy a house, but they were struggling to get there. They were struggling to get this house that they eventually bought. And they got there, barely got there. And, God forbid something happened. I believe he mentioned it was either his wife, that woman that he bought the house with, got sick and she couldn't work anymore. And, she got cancer. And then there was nothing, that they had no savings. They had nothing at all put into the savings. And she got sick. He obviously couldn't keep up with the payments, and things happened. And, things got really, really difficult for them, because of this move that they made that they made to just get something because they can, as opposed to sitting back, really having a faith-based conversation and saying, is this something that we need to do right now? I'm bringing this up all because a lot of what our big major decisions are in life, if you don't put God in, if you don't let God in and ask yourself if you're ready for these moves and have these honest dialogues with God, and then essentially have these honest dialogues with the person that you're going to be dealing with, then you don't have a chance. All right, I'm telling you right now, you need to have as honest of a dialogue as you can with God first, so you're ready for the moment. So you're ready for the moment when the person that you want to deal with comes to you with a certain proposition. It comes to you with, this is the lifestyle, this is what I want, this is how I want to do things. If you're having that honest conversation with God, it's not going to be a difficult thing for you to have that honest conversation with somebody else, but you just have to start now. You cannot wait. You have the ability to do it right now as we speak, but do not wait and hope that somebody else is just going to do it for you. Too often is that the case. Too often do we see, especially men, who depend so much on their significant other, so much on their girl, like we've been trained to just depend on them and not treat them right, not be people who take them for granted, take the little things that they do for granted. Too often do we see that, and eventually, the whole situation starts blowing up. But if you have the honest dialogue with yourself now, God is always gonna lead you in the right direction. It's just gonna be all about what you believe, and again, it leads to that honest dialogue. So let me let him keep cooking.
God, I'm hurting, God. I need you, God. I don't understand, God.
This was the final.
He might have done.
Yeah, this is it, because he started talking about praying together.
So have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be sincere and be consistent, a part of who you are. Keep it simple. Yeah. This is it. This because he talks. It's kind of like going to the gym. You start to do this, go, oh, that's not so bad. And next thing you know, you're doing a 5 pound, then you're doing a 7.5, you're doing a 10 pound. Next thing you know, and so what happens? You just start, and you're learning to pray together, and you're creating a rhythm together, and you're seeking God together. You know what's crazy? It's like it's hard to fight when you're praying. You kind of got to apologize before you pray. And it's hard to let the devil get between your marriage when you're seeking the one together every single day.
Yep.
One little simple thing can be a game changer. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be sincere and be consistent, a part of who you are. Keep it simple. God, direct our steps today. God, help us to honor you in what we do today. God, God, protect our children, God. God, give us wisdom today. God, help us to do your will. Start there. Keep it short. And then if you want to go longer, but just start. And if you miss a day, don't miss 2. You start there, you build spiritual intimacy, and watch as the relational intimacy, the physical intimacy, watch as it all overflows. Now, we see Hannah, she's praying her brains out. It's this very emotional prayer. And so this priest named Eli looks on. She's there praying to God in church. And he looks on, and he's like, hey, have you been drinking? Are you on the gummies? The expensive ones, the ones you have to get with a prescription, are you doing that? He said, no. I'm not drinking anything. This is what she says. She said this, no, sir, I haven't been drinking wine or anything stronger, but I am very discouraged. And I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't think I'm a wicked woman, for I've been praying out of great anguish and sorrow. So what do we see? We see her praying. Do we see her husband praying in this text? Answer yes or no. We don't see it. Doesn't mean he wasn't doing it. He might have been. He might have been right by her. He might have been praying every day in the morning. He might have been praying on his lunch break. We don't know if he was. We don't know if he wasn't, but we don't see him doing it. What we do know is she was praying. And in some of your relationships right now, you may be the only one seeking God. You may be the only one praying for a miracle in your marriage. You may be the only one praying for your children. You may be the only one asking for God to be the Lord of your life, and you are the only one praying. And if you are the only one praying, let me remind you of a truth that may be true for you, and that is that God often honors the faith of one to bless the lives of 2.
And I'll close you out there because that one really hit home for me personally. There's a period there growing up. I watched my father deal with a kidney issue, and I remember every night, even though like I mentioned, we didn't grow up in this church home per se, but the presence and the understanding of God was somewhat in my life because of I was in high school. I went to a Catholic high school, and I'd pray, that he's still with us. God, understand he's still with us to this very day. And I would pray that, this kidney thing doesn't take him away. And even though he wasn't, that person that's constantly telling me to pray and go to church, but I know when somebody's praying for you, eventually you just never know. So even if you're the only one that's praying for this and praying for this and praying for this, eventually pray for whatever it is, eventually it will honor somebody. And being somebody of service is exactly the kind of man that I strive to be every single day. It's what is attracted me to the girl I'm seeing now. I mean, everything it's about. It's all about the willingness to continuously pray and move forward in the best possible direction that two people can have. But praying eventually is going to touch somebody in a positive way. So that's at some point, that's all you can do in terms of developing your walk of faith. So all that being said, again, like I mentioned, I strongly recommend you go listen to the full sermon. And if you are interested, if you are a business owner and you are interested in hearing more about what I'm about, what I'm doing, again, the main website to check out is just simply makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. See you guys tomorrow. Make sure you go check out Faith. Actually, tomorrow we have film session Saturday on boom. Yeah, let me just pull it up for you guys that are looking at it live. Film session Saturday. All right, so film session Saturday, we are going to be going over finishing off the Miami and Florida game. And then the week after, I think I'm probably going to do the Texas and Arizona State game, so I'll be getting into that. And, that's tomorrow. And then Sunday, my good friend Kimberly Blue, we're back here for Stay Hired Sunday. And then next week, we're talking all about flaws and what your flaws are, how you can use your flaws to be advantageous to you and all that kind of stuff. So just stay tuned. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Appreciate all the new subscribers. I know I got a few new people that have come in. Appreciate it, man. Look, we're just getting started. I still feel like I'm just getting started when it comes to all of the potential that I see and the things that I can become. So appreciate you guys. Again, main website to check out, makeyourmove.com. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.